This quick tip is for those who are doing lesson 3 of series 40 of our full-length lessons, but I thought the rest of you would enjoy it too. Most of us are used to our painting surface that we start out with being either white, or we will do something to change its value or change its color before we begin. Well, there's a little technique that we can use called a gradated value field, which is a technique I'm teaching, or a principle I'm teaching in lesson 3 of series 40 of our full-length lessons. In order to do the actual lesson itself, though, we have to create a gradated value field. And so I thought you might enjoy seeing that too. So what we will do here, first of all, is we start out with a blank canvas, as we normally do. Of course, this works better for the technique I'm showing you here works well for painting in oils and painting in acrylics. If you're painting in watercolor, you would need to use just a gradated wash to create a value fill. But right now we're focusing on what we would do if we were working with either oil or acrylic. So we start out with just our little surface that we're going to do a painting or a study with. And it's always a good idea to have the surface give a format for the surface. Now, you could have a panel that you would need this format for, but if you're working with sheet canvas, you will need this. So I thought I'd show you the whole thing. And so I have the format there, and I'm just going to take some masking tape to begin with, and I'm just going to block these edges so that I can have clean edges once the gradation is finished. And so I'll just do this as kind of a no-brainer. This is just plain old-fashioned masking tape, nothing special about it. And I wouldn't waste artist tape for this. Some things for which masking tape is just ideal, and this is one of them. All right, so there we go. That gets the surface prepared and ready to go. Now, it works best if you have an acrylic gesso, a thick acrylic gesso. Those watery acrylic gessos don't work quite as well. Now, I like the Utrecht acrylic gesso because it has the thickness that I enjoy. And so what I'll do then is I'll just take one of my painting knives. I'll just put a nice little wad of acrylic gesso right here on this. This is a disposable palette I'm working with here. You can use almost any surface. And then acrylic black paint, and that doesn't matter what brand. Ivory black probably is going to work better, but I'm not sure that matters either. So acrylic black paint, it's not going to take much of acrylic black paint. So let's put that on the surface, and that takes care of that. And next thing, a brush, almost any kind of brush. This is just a flat watercolor brush. Has relatively flexible but easily controlled bristles. So that's any brush, almost any brush is going to work as long as it has some body to it. All right, so what we're doing here now, how are we going to know in which direction to gradate this surface? We know that by the subject we're going to be working with. So usually the better way to do is to choose your subject first. If your subject has in it light that changes, or if the overall subject is darker in one area and then gradates or seems to gradate to lighter in another area, you could think of a number of subjects that might do that, then this is a good way to go. So say if it were a sunset on the ocean, it might gradate from dark to light as it goes from top to bottom. Or another way to gradate, that would be dark to light to about the horizon, and then light to dark, so you could have a double gradation there. And so there's a number of ways. Well, I'm just going to show a diagonal gradation. This is the gradation that I used in the lesson that I taught for lesson 3, series 40. And it was called Gradating Value Fields, the name of the lesson. So that light, the light of the subject, actually the lighter part of the subject was right down here, and it was a subject under diffused light, so we could almost see a gradation. It was very, very subtle, but it's a diagonal light pattern, so it starts darker in the upper left-hand corner and gradates down to lighter there, and that's the kind of gradation I want to do. Because I'm also especially doing this for the people who are doing that lesson. So in order to do that, we want to start this with a middle value, more or less a middle value. And so I'll just reach down into the gesso and load the brush pretty good with the gesso, and then I reach over into the black and gradually, it's better to do this gradually pull just enough black into this gesso, or into this brush load of gesso, to give me a middle value. And so you don't have to, it's not science, but it's a middle value that seems right. And so I just brush that on. That seems right. Now from here on, what I'm going to be doing is gradating that in this direction to get darker to lighter over to that corner. And so what I'll do, I'm going to have this dark to fall just a little bit more. You see, it kind of gradates in a diagonals come down. And this doesn't have to be smooth. You don't have to have these strokes smooth. The important thing is that it's gradated, but the strokes don't have to be smooth. So now I'm beginning to pick up a little bit more white now, and I'm actually doing a gradation. So as I'm moving from the upper left-hand corner towards the lower right-hand corner. Okay, I'm going to get this. That's a nice gradation there. Get a little bit lighter. Now I don't want this to be actually white over here quite yet. I want this to be maybe a kind of a value 2-ish. So all right, now here's a good little thing to do. Get a value in the brush that's a little bit lighter, like this, very quickly, and then we just sort of stroke between the two values to kind of even that out. And go this way this a little bit. You see, so it's a gradation, but the strokes are showing through. That won't matter. It doesn't matter for the strokes to show through at all. Now go over here to this corner, and so we have this will probably be just a little bit darker. Let's say kind of gradate as it works down here, and let's go down, keep going down, and keep going down again, a little bit lighter. And notice I haven't washed out the brush the whole time. It's not necessary to do. In fact, it works better if you don't. If you just keep the brush moving with the paint that's in it, keep it moving by picking up more of the light and letting the dark that's in the brush act to gradate the surface. And now, once the whole surface is gradated, such as I have it here, you can choose, if you look at your subject and it seems to have more dark, if the dark just seems to be moving in a slightly different direction, you can adjust it. Because the acrylic gesso is pliable for a little while. It's going to start getting dry pretty soon, but we can work it for a little while. So suppose I would say really I'd like the way the light feels in my final piece. I'd like it to be a little bit darker down here and not have it quite so tilted towards the corner. We'll see, you can do that. So you can make changes. And I see it's beginning to dry a little bit, but that's okay. So I can make changes and get those gradations. And so once I have it gradated, that in such a way that it feels like the kind of, get this a little bit darker right up here. See what I mean? You can just keep adjusting it. Get that a little bit darker right there, and let that kind of gradate at a little bit more gentle angle. And then once that's all set and you've got the gradation, I feel happy with, I squint and see, does this feel like the same kind of light pattern that I'm seeing in my subject? And if it does, then I'm ready. And so now, it's very, very simple. Now I can just rip off the tape, masking tape, and I've got my nice gradated surface. Ready to go. Ready now to do another study, another painting, or another one of my lessons. So if you enjoyed this quick tip, if you would like to know more about the subject of gradating a value, this is a value field, by the way. It's a single value field that moves in a gradation from darker to lighter. So if you're curious about that, you might check out our video Series 40. Series 40 has to do with merging shapes, various ways to merge shape, and gradating value fields is one way to do that. It's a fun thing to do. So you might check that out and our other full-length videos and see all these exciting things that we do when we're focusing on composing just one particular principle. Also, if you have a comment you'd like me to do something for that you or have a question about, drop a comment right here and we'll be putting that in our schedule. And there's your quick tip.